Hey, bro.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good, man.
You still in Sydney? Or?
Hey, do you want to talk about fitness objection handling? Or do you want to do a role play?
No, let's talk about it. That would be good. Or otherwise, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter for me.
I'm doing the content for the closing code at the moment, and I'm like for that course, and I'm redoing some of the objection handling. So it'd be interesting to get like sort of your take on the objection handling of fitness and that kind of stuff. Whoa.
Okay. Let me get my folder, which I got all the old objection handling that I used to have. And all right, got it.
I just listened to one of Will's calls.
I think
It's getting slick.
I think the most common one that you get is the first things. I'm not a big believer in for fitness about the smoke screen, the mindset, and the logistic. I'm more likely money, time, and value. So
Yeah.
that's the way how I see it. And what I found more common is they always throw the wife slash husband at first. Okay, so they got a price shock, and that's the first one. And after they move into the husband slash wife one. And what I do mainly is different from, for example, for an high ticket sell, which you're trying to challenge the mindset. I'm more confronting because I know that most of the times I'm speaking with someone that has an issue on making a decision rather than just like spending money for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's
for
not a huge
example,
amount of money, right? So you're saying something that's, not a huge amount of money. So the issue is they're too fucking lazy to start.
yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I think is just that is the thing. So you have to be able to be confronting about it. That's coming down. You don't need to be pushy, but you need to be a coach.
You need to challenge them.
Yes, because that's what they value out of you confronting them. So the first things I would do is like, all right, you throw me the, when I ask my wife, so like, that's absolutely fine for yourself. So what do you reckon is the main things you need to be able to check with her? Is it the finances? Is it the time? Or is maybe because this one is not the right fit for yourself? So I try to make them feel that they got a way for us them, but actually they don't. I give them three directions because I want to channel which one is the objection.
Yeah.
I
That's a
would
really
say,
good point. You got to find out what the true objection is. So if you
yes,
just talk about the surface level objection, you have to whittle it down. If someone says to think about, sweet, what do you need to think about? All right, cool. Is it the money? Is it the time? Like, what is it? Can you tell me exactly? Because I want to help you move forward in whatever way is best for you, but I need to know what the real situation is here. So can you just help me understand so I can better help you?
and if I have to put it in a percentage, is that 60% of the time is money. That's out of experience, okay? So everyone has his own experience, but my one was 60% money, 30% is time, but time is correlated with money, and I'll tell you in a second, and 10% is the value. Let's start with the worst one, which is the value. If you fucked up on the value, that is your own fault. It means
Okay.
your presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means your presentation is something that you have to be able to revalue. And generally, the main things that you shouldn't be getting to that point because you should already kind of temp check on every time you explain part of the program is like, is that something that you can possibly do? Is that can be the answer for yourself? That eliminates that. But let's say the money, which is the most important one. And that is where the cost per action is the key. That or I will go. So I will go like, all right, perfect. Let's understand a little bit more about what you mean by the money. Is because you don't have the money for it, or maybe because it's more expensive than what you've seen in the past. Okay, so that's I always trying to give them a direction because I have to be clear.
That's a very good point. What is it about the money? Is it the
Yeah,
total investment or is it the weekly amount? Is it the fact that it's more expensive than you thought, or is it the fact that it's just too expensive? Like what is it? You don't see the value.
and after you get, of course, you know, uh, they say, okay, perfect, it's too much money for myself. Okay, I do understand, but before let's say before you went through the finances, all right, what they're spending or everything, and then you give them a clear understanding, because they're not clear about the spending money. They think the $70 a week is too much, but they spend 150 on stuff that don't make sense. Okay, that's how people are, especially if you smoke cigarettes. All right, so you just have to be able to lay them out for themselves. Right, so that's the cost of it. Okay, if it's the money is the issue, I'm willing to help you out to figure out a way to make it possible. So a couple of minutes ago, you explained your finances, and you told me that you're spending, let's say, $100 on food. That, do you reckon is going to be necessary in this program? Not really. Okay, perfect. Let's get out of the way. So if you get that $100 out, and let's say you buy food that can be helpful, then you spend $50. Then you have other $50 remaining. Now let's go to in the alcohol. Like, do you reckon that you're gonna have time to spend money for alcohol in a program that makes you lose weight? Well, not really, but I still want to keep it. Yes, of course. So it's going to be a Saturday and Sunday thing. Yes, not an everyday thing. Yes, there you go. So I want to give you the possibility to see beyond just the money. And all that I do the connection. So I ask them, okay, so what this program does give you? Yeah, you know, it does give me the possibility to lose 10 kilos. Okay, so let's do it. I always close an objection, not with a question or with a statement. Them was like, let's do it. Because I have to push them in. If I don't push them in.
With fitness, it's not like it's much less nuanced than with like a real high ticket. You do have to, at some stage, take charge of that person, because like everything that they're doing is causing them to not want to do this. Like, if we're asking for people's money, their time, for them to go without things they enjoy, and for them to be in physical pain, right? So there's every barrier you could possibly imagine in the way of a fitness sale. And so what we want to do is we need to make a lot of sense to them, do a huge cost of inaction, get the real why, and then pre-handle the objections, time, money, and partner, make it urgent by really having the value and that cost of inaction piece. Then from there, we need to put our big boy pants on, and we need to like coach these people through that. Like, whereas with other forms of sales, you don't want to do any coaching, but sometimes with fitness, you have to coach them. Be like, dude, as a coach, if I let you get off this time, and sometimes it's good in the beginning of the call to ask for permission to be a coach. Hey man, like, you know, just so you know, on this call, like, are you okay with me kind of like being fairly upfront and challenging you a bit? Because like my goal here is to see if I can help you. And if I see things or hear things that I know are going in direct contradiction to what it is you want to achieve, are you okay with me kind of pointing them out in a polite way? Yeah. All right. Perfect. And it's about getting permission to do those things the whole way through. And then when you do the whole like lifestyle factors thing, and you get that money out of them, you want to get like an in principle agreement, like, all right, cool. So this is what you're doing. This, and this. Are you okay with possibly reducing or cutting out some or all of those things to make your goal a reality? Yes, I am. Okay, but why? Right? So now you've got like an in principle agreement halfway through the call that they're willing to cut those things out. So then when you come to the objection handling, you know, they've already said they're going to cut it out. Now the chances are they're not thinking of that at the top of their head, but if you just remind them, hey, this is what we said, you're like, all right, cool, man, let's do it. Let's
say that you're not a guy that wants to go into the cost per action one. And you have to be able to put yourself in a level where you are more a big ego on the call. And what I will do there is I will throw statements, which if you cannot do it is better. But if it's the only way for you to sell, that you have to be solid.
I'll preface that. So like the way that we would sell fitness, or the way that like we used to sell, like there's different levels of salespeople, right? So, and like to sell the way that we sell now takes years of experience and practice. So us teaching that is irrelevant. It's like teaching someone how to do a snatch who's never lifted weights before. It's just a waste of time, right? So, but there's progressions, right? So, and as you start looping through those progressions, you start getting slicker and more subtle. And the more subtle and elegant you get, the more people you close, and they end up thanking you for it, right? But in the beginning, you have to be able to challenge and coach people through it, especially when it comes to weight loss, because like they're fat, they're unhappy, and you have to remember, every single decision they make around health and fitness is wrong and terrible because they're fat and they're unhappy. right? So like, it's not until, or they're just unhealthy and they feel shit all the time. They wake up tired. They go to bed fucking exhausted. Like they're just terrible, right? So we have to get them out of that, and we have to be the little pattern interrupt in their life that gets them to actually fucking do something.
And I want to say this, and I want to say these things. Most of people are not willing to go the extra mile in fitness. That means that you're not willing to overcome the objection, but you're not doing any favor to them. Okay, you're not doing any favor by not be able to confronting them on the issue they do have. And I remember I always got this line, which is like I've been using, which is like I do understand that it might be too expensive for yourself, and I don't expect you to pay $297 if you don't have it. But what you do have right now is an issue, and if you want to solve the issue, you have to be able to do something about it. Because let me tell you the downsides of that. If you're not solving the issue and you're not going to take action, in a month time, a week time, 2 month time, you're still going to be in the same position that you are. And are you willing to take that risk? So that's the confronting one. And you have to be able to do it just if you be really confronting from the start of it. You can't switch on going report kind of person, which, you know, like being nice and switching on that. You have to be able to be willing to push from the start. That's
be clinical, right? If a doctor prescribed you take a medication and you said no, they would just go, "What are you talking about? Like how like what are you going to fix it with voodoo and crystals? Like, let's get this done." You know what I mean? There has to be an element of I understand where you're coming from. However, like, is that coming from a shitty mindset, or is that coming from like logistics? If it's logistics, let me help with, like, let me work with you. Would it be easier if I broke it down into a payment plan? Would that be easier for you? Yes. Okay, perfect. Do you want to talk about that? Okay, great. Let's do that. Right? If it's just like, if it's mindset, let's talk like, how long have you been thinking of doing this? Okay, well, what's going to be different over the next 3 months if you don't do anything? Nothing's going to be different. Are you willing to settle for that?
And I think something that you teach me when we first started working together is like really telling people like you can't grow in life if you make a decision in base of where you are right now. You have to make a decision in base of where you want to be. And that's something that you have to be able to teach them on the call. That is not about now, but you have to have the mindset of someone that is already in shape for start the program. Otherwise, any kind of techniques that you get will be completely unsuccessful. Yeah. And you have to make them commit and ask why they want to commit on that.
Yeah. Today is the day that you become a fit person trapped in a fat person's body.
Yeah. And like, you know, most of the times for people that maybe are going to watch this video, and it's like, those guys talk like gurus. You have to be able to be that kind of guru for them on that call, because for them is a big step. For people, for a lady that's like, I had in the past sold to a lady that wanted to lose 20 kilos and they've been overweight for 20 years. Okay. And that's a big step for a person. Mm-hmm. It's a really big step. So
and we've sold probably 10,000 fitness programs. Like, this is not from a lack of experience. This is smiling and dialing for years and selling 28 days, 16 week, 26 week, 19, you fucking name it, 3 week, 1 week, you name it, man. We've sold it. And it's all over the phone, all paid over the phone. And like, man, with fitness, there is no, with the way that you need to sell to begin with, there's no second bite of the cherry. With the way that we sell now, there definitely is. But they're just different ways of doing things at different levels of where you need to go. And the guys watching this, they're probably at the level that we're talking about, which is like, you need to be able to push, right? There is no second bite at this cherry. Someone who says, yeah, sounds great, call me back in 2 days, they're not going to buy off you.
Yeah.
Unless you do everything perfectly and you really know how to handle that situation. Then, you know, but for these types of programs, there's nothing to think about. They're 3 weeks, they're 5 weeks, they're 6 weeks, they're 9 weeks, they're 12 weeks. Like they're not a huge investment either way of either time or money. So like these are, we need to get them over the line. We need to understand why, because the only thing that's stopping them from going over the line is either 1, they just don't have the money. 2, they just do not see the value in doing it with you. Or 3, they're just fucking in people who are just terrified of actually starting, because God forbid they actually get a result, you know?
And don't be afraid to ask. So like, okay, perfect. Let's understand what stopped you to start. Let's put money aside. Let's put everything aside. Is it something to do with you? And most likely you will get like, I'm afraid to fail. And there is something that you are in charge of, make them commit to change. You should have done it on the start of the call, but if you are getting at the end, you're still in a good place to do it. But you just need to be able to be a coach, what you've been hired to do from the start. Well,
that's the great thing about selling coaching, is that you can coach people.
Yeah.
So like when it all comes down to it, and you need to objection handle, or you can go through whatever tactics you want, but at the end of the day, you can just go, hey man, like, can I just give you some coaching on this? If I put my coach's hat on for a minute, like, is that okay? You go, yeah. Go, dude, everything you're saying just totally misaligns with everything you're doing. And like, I need to help us both figure out the best way forward for you. And if it's me, that's awesome. But if it's not, that's cool too. But there needs to be a pathway forward for these reasons. And like, you want to be successful. Yeah. You want to do it. Yeah. Well, you're making decisions based off who you are. And every single thing you do is keeping you exactly where you are. So if you want to change, something has to change. And it can change now. It can change in 3 months. It can change in 5 years. Right. But from everything you told me, do you want to change? Yes. Why? Well, for these reasons. Okay. And why now? Okay. So where do you, how do you want to proceed from here, man? Because there's only two options. Like, we can move forward or we can't. And like, either way is fine, man. I just want you to do the best thing for you. But like, when you go to bed tonight, do you go to bed with the knowledge that we have a plan in place and that we're actually starting to do something, or that everything's just the same as what it is right now?
Also, there is no follow-ups in those type of calls. I can count on my hands how many people call me back, or how many people we did schedule a call and we close them after that. So don't believe in follow-ups.
It's 1 in 1,000.
Push until you can. You think is ethical for you, and don't be afraid of what you say. Just trying to be as ethical and reasonable that you can be.
Yeah, and it's all got to come from a good place. If it's coming from the place of you want to make the sale, it's going to come off shitty. If it's coming from the place where you genuinely want to help and you're like, hey man, if I can help you overcome this, awesome. If I can't, that's my bad. That's on me.
Yeah.
So like, let's work through it. And I'll put in this next tab, I'll put in like a 20-minute conversation of me objection handling someone in that particular style, and it'll make it all kind of make sense.
And I think the other one, which is the 30%, is the time. And that the time is a little bit complicated if you don't know how to handle it, because you want to check if the time is just a lie, or if it's actually the right time for them. And I'll explain you what I mean. You always, like you said, he's a good fit for me. I'm a person that wants to go 100%, but I don't think it's the right time for myself. So what I always ask, all right, I understand it's not the right time for yourself, but let's say, does this product get you what you want? Yes. Can you afford it? Like, can you actually afford the product? Like, is it something that something that you want to do, or something that is in your pocket? It's like, yes, perfect. So when do you reckon will be the right time for yourself? I was like, oh, next month. Okay, what's going to change from now until next month? Realistically, like, I'm going to be able to move house, and I've got some stuff to kind of sort out in the middle. That's there. You want them to want to really make them understand the importance of the lifestyle rather than just the program. So what I do is like, listen, realistically, today and tomorrow you're gonna move a house. Next week you might move job. Next month you probably need to fix your door. There is always something to do in life. It's not important what you have right now. What's important is how can you cooperate with all things in life and make it successful. So do you want to be successful, or you want to delay all the time? Which one do you want to be, A or B? So put them in front of a decision, because it's never the right time. The right time for a person doesn't exist.
Yeah,
and
I think like understanding the absurdity of the argument is really important. So like, if you can kind of blow it up a little bit, like if someone's still pushing back and be like, all right, cool, man. So like, Why don't we do it in July? Oh, I mean, there's the 4th of July. So we need to wait till after that. So why don't we do, like mid-July? Is that enough time? And then, I know I've got my cousin's wedding in mid-July. So like we can do August, but then, fuck, man. Like August is always crazy, changing in seasons, work's busy. We can do September. September is a good time to start, but it is my wife's birthday in September. Why don't we just do January?
Yeah.
Like,
it sounds crazy for someone that doesn't sell fitness. So we're talking about this stuff.
I know, but it's very specific to fitness. These are real fitness problems. But I've done that a bunch of times, and because I've literally had people in my follow-up for 2 years, where I've literally just out of pure this is gonna make me laugh, and I've followed up with them every month for 2 years, and every month for 2 years they told me that next month was the month.
Yeah.
And I said, this is the 17th time you told me that. Anyway, catch you next month, buddy. They still pick up. And it's like, hey, number 18, how are we going? This is the 18th month you put it off. Are we going to do this or what? And it's fucking hilarious. And that's just the way it is.
Also, what I can advise is always have your personal trade when you overcome rejection. I'm going to be more specific about these things. When you overcome an objection, it has to be personal to yourself. So you have to put yourself in the pants of how many times in your life you say next week, next month, next year, and what it brings you to. Because like this, the pain of them missing out on that. Like I've been like this in the past when I was 15, 16, 17, or I was like, I'll do it next week and the next month. That brings me to not be able to be better. I should become better faster. So that's the trade that I bring to myself. It's like, all right, I don't want them to make the same mistake that I've been through. And that's why I challenge them a lot. You have to be like that. You have to know the importance of not doing that. I think it's...
Yeah, because if you're someone who puts things off, it's very difficult to authentically convince people to do shit.
Yeah, and if you are that kind of person, then you have to be able to build an alter ego of you when you sell it. Because otherwise, you're never going to be capable. You're always going to be the guy who's like, next week. Yeah, next week. I'll call you next week.
Yeah, it's like being a fat PT. It doesn't work. You can be a fat personal trainer. You just can't sell weight loss. You can sell powerlifting. You know what I mean? But if you're going to sell getting shredded and you're 30 kilos overweight, it's just it's inauthentic. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? So
I want to ask you a question though, because you got more experience than me. If you would have to go back, how would you have approached the handling objection side of our sales calls?
I would have done it totally differently. I would have done the way that we teach in fitness is relatively combative, which I think is okay because it's an easy way to learn. It's an easier way. The way that I'm teaching people in this course, people watching this right now, it's super effective and it's really good, but it's stage one. You know what I mean? It's stage one of this is what you need to do to get the job done. But because the best way of doing it takes months and months and months of in-depth one-on-one coaching, which costs tens of thousands of dollars, right? So when you get to a point where that's worthwhile doing, then do it, right? To learn the way that I objection handle now, it cost me 30 grand in one-on-one coaching, right? To learn the styles and techniques that I learn and teach people today, I had to put some serious fucking money down. So if I went back and did it the way that I did it now, it would be totally different. I'd probably have 20-minute phone calls that have no objections. Sure. It just wouldn't. But in saying that, that's 10,000 memberships ago and probably $10 million worth of high ticket coaching ago. You know what I mean? So it's just a different ball game. But I would say I'd probably if I went back and I used similar tactics, I wouldn't be as good because I would be softer on people. So I think the way we did it was super effective and I probably wouldn't change anything. I mean, I would get 500 leads and make 220 sales, and I do that in a month. I sold 167 memberships in 19 days by myself, and so fuck, I don't know. It was 9 a day. It was ridiculous.
Crazy.
My record was 14 in one day.
That's something.
Yeah, exactly. It's still no money, but anyway. yeah.
You know, and also when I say these things, because I gotta go, I got a sales call in 2 minutes, and
Yeah.
everyone is watching this. We're doing this within calls, so we're really rough in the way how we structure. Is that you have to build volume. What I mean by that is if you dial a lot, that you listen to that objection all the time, so you're ready to go for it. But if you're going from sleeping, playing PlayStation, doing a couple of calls, you're never going to be a successful salesman for what you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be
Reps.
dialed in. You have to be switched on because it's a game. It's a chess game. You seen it and picture yourself in that way because you have to be ready to make the first move. Which doesn't mean that you have to talk first or talk over people. It means that you have to be able to look certain. You look certain if you're ready. That's the main advice that I can give to everyone.
I used to do, if I knew I did $100 on a day, I knew I would at the very worst make 2 sales. So for me, it was like, okay, if I have to make 2 a day, if I have to do 10, 15, if I have to do 10 or 12 a week, I just know that if I make 200, if I make $100 every day, I know that I'll get 2 sales. I could get 2 sales in $5, right? And then it's like, sweet, I can either take the day off or I can keep dialing and bank up, right? But I knew that at the very worst, $100 would equal like at least 10 pickups. And from 10 pickups, I'd have 6 conversations. 6 conversations, I knew I'd get 2 sales. Like at the very worst. So it's just a numbers game. And it was just like, that's what I have to do. That's what I have to do. And the only thing I could affect was the dial and the close rate. Everything else was up to chance. You know?
Gotta go, Matt. I got
All right, brother.
right now. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. How was that? Marco, fitness salesman extraordinaire, used to sell about 140 memberships a month, every single month, into both a 4 and 16-week transformation challenge. I hope that was helpful to you guys. It wasn't super structured, but like, man, I think that it speaks a lot about how to actually handle objections.